Shout out to RubenC.5648 for asking me to do a bookkeeping update video. The bookkeeping side of my business has been amazing. 7 years into owning my own bookkeeping business, and I'm truly blessed every day that I get to be a stay-at-home mom with a dream job. I will link my last bookkeeping update here for you. If you want to catch up from the beginning, there's the playlist. And I realized as I was putting this video together that my last bookkeeping update was just over 2 years ago. My bad. So here's a 60-second summary just to get you caught up to 2 years ago. In 2017, I bought Bookkeeper Launch and quit my full-time job. Stressed. Finished the program, got my first client, my second client ever fired me. Second guessing everything. Like, what the heck have I done? Pushed through, made $34,000 in revenue in 2018, and added financial coaching in 2019, which doubled my revenue. 2020 was my first 6-figure year, and I also got really serious about my ideal client and cut loose anyone who was a red flag client. Scary hard. 2021, one of my clients is investigated by the FBI for embezzling SBA funds, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Very yikes. And that's honestly where I left you guys hanging. Right after that, I got pregnant, I ghosted YouTube hard, and it's definitely time for an update. Let's back up a tiny bit. So 2020 and 2021 was a big turning point for a lot of small businesses. It was a very sink or swim time for my clients. I work with very small, sometimes startup, service-based businesses, and a lot of those services are in person. It flipped my clientele upside down pretty hard. I think something like 2020 really exposes businesses who are barely skating by or cutting corners. I think it also exposes businesses that have just been doing things the same way for 20 plus years and are unwilling to change. Everyone's a genius in a bull market, and I think 2020 separated out the true geniuses from the wannabes in my clientele. Some businesses skyrocketed and some businesses closed their doors to pursue other things. It was very pivotal for my business too. I mean, I launched YouTube because I was stuck at home, and I leaned into financial coaching because people were very motivated to get a grip on their personal finances with layoffs and just everything going on. During this time, I also let go of some businesses that just weren't aligned with me anymore. Either they couldn't adhere to the boundaries that I had set up in place, or they were just missing the mark when it came to communication and the expectation I had set for that. I also had a client sell their business, move to a new state, and become a vet assistant. I had a client grow so big that they outgrew my services. They needed a bigger firm with more services than what I offered, and we separated on fantastic terms. Another client that I had closed their business to get into real estate. At the same time, a friend of mine who owns her own business absolutely blew up on social media during this time, and her business exploded. So she reached out to me. I was able to give her some advice, and she became a client and actually became probably my biggest client gained during this time. It was just kind of a weird time. Like I said, businesses were either adapting really well, they were pivoting hard, and they were being rewarded tremendously for adapting, or they were taking a hard look in the mirror and deciding to close their business and pursue other things. That was a lot of the bookkeeping side of things for me in 2020 and 2021. 2022 happened and I have my daughter, so I'm not really interested in growing my business at all at that point. After all the ups and downs of the previous couple years, I had really thinned out my bookkeeping load. I've been doing this for 7 years. People that own their own bookkeeping business for 7 years and do that full time probably have way more clients than me. For me, at this stage of my life, I don't want the most clients. I don't want to be maxing out all of my free time with bookkeeping. I want the right clients, and those clients are low maintenance, easy to work with, and consistent. Here's the best problem that you could possibly have as a bookkeeper. My current clients are so amazing. They've set the bar even higher for new clients, and so it just makes it even harder for me to bring on new clients that don't measure up. I'm so picky, and I'm way pickier than financial coaching. With financial coaching, if you truly want help, you're willing to put in the work, I will help you. But that's because I'm usually working with those clients for 3 to 6 months max. After those 3 to 6 months, they should be independent of me. Bookkeeping is not. You work together for years. So I've been in business not quite, almost 7 years. 2 of my bookkeeping clients have been with me for 5. 5 years is a long time. If you are an established bookkeeper and you have a new client that you're thinking about sending a proposal or a contract to, and you can't see yourself working with them 5 years down the road, let them go. That is truly my mindset now. If the bookkeeping relationship is a struggle, just a constant fight, if I'm having to babysit this client, if I'm chasing them down and then they're ghosting me for months, I'm just not doing it. I will not swim upstream for them for 5 years or maybe even longer. I am so picky, and that is why the bookkeeping side of my business is quiet. No drama, consistent. I actually raised the price of one of my clients that has been with me for years and years, and no problem. It's all good. At this stage of my life, that is exactly what I am looking for. Sure, the first few years of my business were totally different. I was all about taking messy action, getting out there, meeting more people, willing to help pretty much anyone that said they wanted help, doing discovery calls all the time, sending out proposals and contracts all the time. Actually, I should look it up, like how many proposals I've sent out since 2017.
5 minutes later.
82 proposals sent out in the lifetime of my business, but most of those were sent in the first 3 to 4 years. All that to illustrate, this is the dream job for stay-at-home moms because it can ebb and flow with your life. The bookkeeping business that I had 4 years ago looks completely different from the bookkeeping business that I have today because it's changing with my phase of life. Once you have the skills, and I always recommend Bookkeeper Launch, that's what I did. Here's the review right here that you can watch. Once you have the skills, you can go out and get more clients as you want or as you need to, or you can dial it back when you have babies and toddlers. So obviously, I still recommend Bookkeeper Launch. I still recommend owning your own bookkeeping business for stay-at-home moms who want to have control over their income and also over their time. However, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. And I feel like I would be doing a disservice to just show you all of the pros without showing you the cons too. And they are important. I want to be fully transparent, totally upfront about some of the hardships that comes along with having your own bookkeeping business. Like I said, I've been in this business for 7 years. I've seen a lot of things. And so here are some of the raw pros and cons of owning your own bookkeeping business. First con. You have control over how many clients you have and who those clients are, but you don't have control over the clients' businesses themselves. And I know that that's obvious, but it is still an important con, and here's why. It feels very mutual when you and a client just truly aren't a good fit for each other, but I've also gotten heartbreaking emails and calls from clients who are simply choosing something new. Maybe they are selling their business. Maybe they've grown so big they just need a bigger accounting firm with more services than what you offer. Maybe the client's family member gets in their head and they let you go to offer the job to them. Maybe the client commits federal fraud and the next thing you know, FBI agents are knocking on your door with a subpoena in hand. I've literally had all of those things happen to me, and it can be very frustrating when these clients that are so good and so easy, you've worked really hard to find them, they just disappear or make terrible illegal choices. Another con is that all bookkeeping packages are custom created. They have to be. Every single client is different and has different needs, but this is very time consuming. Of course, I highly recommend vetting them before the call, but you still have to have the discovery call. You still have to send out the proposal and wait for an answer. You still have to amend and send the contract, and you have to do all of that before you get paid. And it's not that big of a deal if they become a client, but if you have 4 or 5 of those in a row that don't work out, the time spent really starts to add up, especially if you're a full-time mom or you still have a full-time job. Discovery calls, proposals, onboarding, all of it is very time consuming. And of course you can automate some things in this funnel, but a lot of it is still going to have to be manually done by you. Last con, and then I'll get to the pros. Bookkeeping can be frustrating when your clients don't listen to you. They don't want your advice. They just want the accounts reconciled. And I talk about some of that in this video here. You can't care about the client's business more than the client cares about the business. It will drive you mad. And that's really hard for me. I want to be the entrepreneur where everything I touch turns to gold. I want to fix and improve and optimize everything. And sometimes the client's on board. Sometimes their mindset is the same way and they're like, let's go, let's do it. But a lot of times it's just easier to keep doing things the way we've always done them, change is too hard, etc. On YouTube and with financial coaching, I'm seen as more of an expert in this field. And with bookkeeping, the respect just isn't there by default. On to the big pros. Number one, if you set very clear expectations and communicate those early to your clients, your relationship with them will be so much better and smoother. And that's honestly the hardest part about having a bookkeeping business. Like I said earlier, the bookkeeping part of my business now just hums in the background. There's no drama since I let go of those red flag clients that I had a couple years ago. It's so amazing how easy or how difficult you can make things for yourself by setting very clear expectations, communicating those expectations early to my clients, and then upholding those boundaries. I revolutionized my business. I know that it takes time, but once you have the confidence to hold your clients accountable or let them go, your business becomes a lot healthier and more sustainable. Big pro number 2 is that bookkeeping client retention is insane. And I know I talked a little bit about this earlier, but I want to dive in more. Remember, the comparison in my mind is financial coaching, where I'm working with someone for 3 to 6 months. To have multiple clients that have been with me for 5+ years, not only is a huge blessing to me financially, but it also speaks volumes of how valuable my services are to them. If you're on the fence about investing in Bookkeeper Launch because trying to find clients intimidates you, here's the truth. Your services are so valuable. These clients, these small businesses are going to be looking for you just as much as you're trying to connect with them. The client retention potential in this business is so important and it's so big that it really does allow you to step back from the advertising and marketing and networking when your lifestyle just simply doesn't allow for those activities. And that's so important. Another big pro to having a bookkeeping business, and I couldn't think of a name for this one, so I just named it Stay-at-home mom with a dream job. But here's what I mean by that. The bookkeeping work that you do is 100% online. Payments are monthly and automatic. The work is consistent. Very little expenses. The time that you work is flexible. And this list, honestly, is what made me do a pro and cons list, because this sounds almost too good to be true. You need to know and understand the cons of owning a bookkeeping business, but the pros, honestly, to me, are priceless. In 2017, I was 26 years old when I purchased Bookkeeper Launch and quit my full-time teaching job. There were a lot of immediate reasons for this, but one long-term reason that I had in the back of my mind is that I knew the next decade-ish of my life was going to be dedicated to having babies and raising toddlers. When I was little, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I really believe that that shaped my childhood and my upbringing and gave me the family values that I really have today. And in the back of my head in 2017, I knew that I wanted to stay home with our future kids, and we were not going to be able to do that on one income. And let's be honest, sometimes on 2 incomes, it's a little bit of a stretch. But I think about how scared and intimidated I was to take that leap, how much I wanted to give up, how impossible it felt to pay off our house, how imposter syndrome lived in my head, and how many times I had to walk into a room full of people that I didn't know. But 2017, me made an investment, made a decision that would change not only my life, but the entire life of my family. And it's so easy to get caught up in all of the little annoyances of my business. And I'm probably being a little too honest here, but I've been looking at some new opportunities within my business, some new partnerships and things like that. And the last 8-ish to 9-ish months have been just a lot of closed doors, and politely closed, but still dead end closed. And it's easy to get caught up. You hear no after no after no. And I forget that in 2017, I didn't even know that any of this was going to be possible. I honestly have no right to be annoyed or discouraged when I've come so far in such a short amount of time. When I put it in perspective, I have no option other than gratitude. How wild would it be for 2017 me to see myself and my daughter chilling in our backyard on a Tuesday, not a care in the world, monthly revenue automatically deposited, our house completely paid off. I just imagine 2017 me seeing all of that and just thinking like, oh my gosh, like we did it. That's what I picture when I say stay-at-home mom with a dream job. Everything that Bookkeeper Launch marketed and talked about and drilled into me was true, and I'm truly forever grateful.